Hi everyone, and welcome to Anatomy of a Scene, where we get to craft a story piece by piece. If it's your first time on the channel, my name is Andrew and I tell stories through editing, color grading, and sound design. I make videos on everything post-production, and if that's your cup of tea, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on a new video. Now, in the last episode, we worked on the vomit draft, and it was a rough and simple edit that gave us a foundation to build our story. And from there, we are going to shape it into what I call a locked edit. And at this stage of the process, this is where we essentially direct the film a second time, and it will give us a chance to craft the story more intentionally, refine the actors' performances, and fix critical issues like pacing and continuity. So what you're watching right now is a time-lapse of me walking through the scene, slowly building it up into the locked version. And one of the most important things you can do as an editor during this process is to sit down with your director and work closely with him or her. Being in the same room with the director creates space for collaboration, and this helps you both to work towards what's best for the story. So let's first watch the final edit, and then I'll break down what I did to take the scene from the vomit draft into what you're about to see. Let's have a look.
Quite the reputation you've built for yourself.
The silent thief. A skill set like yours doesn't just disappear, does it? It's just like riding a bike.
How much are we talking about?
Enough for a new life. I just want the diamond necklace. Nervous?
It's a 3-combination lock. 3 5-minute stops.
Great. Stick to the plan, and we're both happy. Here's some motivation. And wait for my signal.
Alright, as you've just seen, the edit now is a lot tighter and more focused. It's leaning more towards the emotion and the story that we're trying to tell. There are still a few sound issues, but we are going to deal with those during sound editing. A quick tip from experience: don't try to do everything all at once. Back in the day, I used to do everything: editing, sound design, color grading, adding music, adding sound effects, all in one sitting. And I wasted so much time making changes I'd end up undoing later. So right now, what I do, I focus on one task at a time. I focus on story first, and then everything else will come later. Trust me, your brain will thank you for it. So now let's jump into Premiere Pro again, and let's see some of the techniques that I used so that it can get us to this final version. So let's take a look at J and L cuts. A J cut is when audio from the next scene begins before we see the visual cut. It's when you hear what's coming before you actually see it. And an L cut is the exact opposite. In this example, the director wanted for us to introduce our characters by hearing them before we actually see them in the car having their dialogue. So let's take a look.
Quite the reputation you've built for yourself.
The silent thief.
So that's a good example of a J-cut in action. And these are really good for creating smoother transitions, especially when you're entering a new scene. Have you ever watched a scene and thought this would have been way shorter? That's where trimming really makes a difference. In this next example, our character in the back seat hands over a bag of cash. Let me play you the before on loop, and then we can look at the after. So we've got a couple of issues here. First, it takes way too long for the bag to reach the front seat, and the moment drags. Secondly, the wardrobe in the shot is a bit off, where you can see the t-shirt falling down in the back seat, and that doesn't look good. So we need to address those two issues. And this is the after that I did. So by slicing the action more tightly and avoiding the distracting wardrobe shot, the whole moment feels smoother, faster, and cleaner. So let's have another look at the before and after. This is the before. And this is the after. So I usually do this across my timeline, just fixing any pacing issues so that I get a more tighter, smoother, and clean edit. Cutting to reactions is one of the most powerful and underrated tools an editor can have. Let's say a character drops some news. Instead of looking at the person telling the news, probably it's going to be best cutting to the person receiving the news, because these moments of reactions can say a lot of things. Let's take a look at an example from our scene.
Nervous?
So in this example, our character seated at the front sees a suspicious car drive by, and the other character asks him if he's nervous, and we actually show the person say the word nervous.
Nervous?
But what if we actually take out that shot and we see our character actually reacting to the other person saying the word nervous? So let me just disable that shot and we see the difference.
Nervous?
Once again, this is the before.
Nervous?
And this is after.
Nervous?
Alright, so that's a quick breakdown of some of the techniques I used to refine the scene. If you're new to editing, just remember you're not just stitching clips together. You're shaping performance, you're creating rhythm, and you're evoking emotion. Every cut is a decision, and every decision should serve the story. So take your time, trust your instincts, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Now that the scene is locked, it's time for us to add another layer and take it even further. In the next video, we are going to dive into sound. I'll show you how I do dialogue edit, how I add ambient layers, and how I use sound effects and music to elevate the story. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, hit a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more editing breakdowns. Until next time, stay safe, keep editing, and peace.